It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. We come to you live every day at noon Eastern. That's 9 Pacific for about an hour each day. We do 3 gun-related topics each day, different topics throughout the week. We pick those topics on Monday. So if you'd like to help create the show, just join us on Monday and do so. Or you can always email us throughout the week, dailygunshow@gmail.com. If you have ideas for segments or stuff we could do on the show. Let's see. We run it live on YouTube. We simulcast it over at gunchannels.com, where we're watching the comments from the people watching the show live. We appreciate everybody who watches live. Like we said yesterday, we're hoping that people will spread the word, let people know that we're out there at this time, so that we have a large audience watching live. And then, of course, we appreciate the people that watch after the fact as a recording on YouTube, over on Gun Channels, or even the best ofs that we post over on iTunes as podcasts. When you interact with those posts, it lets us know you're out there, so we do appreciate that, and also helps our show get recommended to more listeners, and that's one of our goals, so we really appreciate the people that do that for us. Let's see. We have hosts. Everybody's here today. Well, the regulars are here today. Got Bob jumping in from Canada. Thanks for joining.
Hey, glad to be here.
Jimmy's running the show up in Phoenix.
Hey, very good to be here. Thanks.
And I'm down in Tucson again. So let's see. We're into episode number 444. That's a caliber. Well, that's a caliber. So I don't know if we're doing anything special for it today, but it's our Thursday, so it's CCW. We'll be talking about some topics there. We do gun stuff on Thursday as well as training. We have a gun of the day. We do a gun shop every day and all kinds of fun. So before we start the show, though, we usually take a break at the beginning, see if anything happened overnight. Anything worth talking about?
I got nothing. Boring home stuff.
I got a pressing issue. So let's say you go to the store. And let's say you're going to buy a bag of plums, like a sack of plums. They got plums sitting there, and they're $3 a pound. So you got some interest in, getting plums that aren't worthless, bruises in them or bugs in them or something. Now, are those bags at the store like a suggestion? So in other words, feel free to intermix the plums out of the different bags so that you get a bag of entirely good ones, or is it like you're supposed to take your chance? And if you pick up one that's got a bunch of bad plums in it, that's on you. You're not allowed to shuffle the plums. What do you guys think? Can you shuffle plums? Is that legit?
I think you can shuffle the plums around.
I figure the bag is like if it's at $3 a pound, it didn't say $3 per sack, right? So at $3 per pound, they're saying, here's some sacks to help carry you home. It's like a convenience, but you could take 1 plum out of there at $3 a pound, right? You take 5 plums out of there.
Yeah, I don't know if you're allowed to or not, but I'm definitely shuffling plums.
I'd say you should be allowed to. I mean, it's produce. You can pick your own produce. That's part of it.
All right, well, that's a little something. We had a little debate while we were waiting in line for food this morning. Our food hole. All right, so back from the road trip, I got some numbers for you. We drove 2,277 miles, used 169 gallons of gas. That cost $405. It was $156 going up there, $184 coming back. I predominantly went about 60 miles an hour most of the way up there until I was getting tight on time, because that 60 mile an hour really throws you when you're using Google Maps. It calculates everything to the speed limit. So when you go significantly under the speed limit, things take actually a lot longer than they estimate. So towards the end there, I needed to go faster, but first half of the trip at 60 saved me about $30 on 1,000 miles. So what do you guys think? To me, that seems like I might as well just go 75 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, $30 on 1,000 miles, that's, I know I'd say it's nothing, but it's not that much. That's 1 tank of gas, right? I get gas at about every half tank or so. So I'm putting in about $15, $20 every time I buy gas, depending on what the cost of gas is. So it's like a couple of half tanks of gas, 1 full tank of gas for me. And what the difference in time, 1,000 miles at 15 miles an hour difference. If there was any way to do the math on that, I bet you it's like an hour or something. More than an hour.
Yeah.
About $414, I think, on gun show and gun shop stuff. Spent $70 at that shop, a shop, I should say. I don't want to give anything away yet, since it's going to be a surprise for those people to some extent. $114. Stop it. $114 at the J.M. Davis Museum. He didn't stop it. He didn't even slightly stop it. Then $8 at the Cowboy Museum. Spent a couple of bucks there. $112 at the 45th Infantry Museum. You're welcome. And $36 at another gun shop in Tulsa. So then there was probably, oh, actually, wait, it was more like 200 at the gun show. So I probably went a little bit overboard this year or this month, but that's part of the fun. So definitely a successful trip on those angles. And I'll be posting videos and stuff on the stuff that we're sending out to the people who made it possible. I think if you do the math, the Patreon brings in something like 300 something for the gas. So that covered most of the gas going all the way to Tulsa. So I think it's potentially got a good plan here. So we'll keep working on it. And again, if you're not already participating, consider it. And if you can't, then please share it, because I think it's a neat concept. When people hear about it, they think it's interesting. So definitely like to keep pursuing it. We've got some good gun shows coming up. We have the SAR show coming up in December, which is going to be awesome. It is literally the best gun show ever for walking around and picking stuff up, not only because it's such a great show, but I've been going to it for decades, so I really know the show really well. I have some good ideas on what I'm already got some ideas on stuff to look for. Then we have the Antiques and Knife Show. That's after SHOT Show in Vegas. Bob's been to that one, right? It's another huge show, and lots of opportunities for finding interesting stuff. Cheap stuff too. That's a good one for bargain stuff, actually.
Yeah.
I gotta go see old dog is barking. What?
But yeah, that Vegas knife and gun show was really something. I figured out it was more than just the one room. Some really cool old guns and some real cool shit. Yeah, another place to spend money.
So yeah, we should have a couple of neat shows then February, potentially, if everything gets rolling and we get some grease in the wheels. We got the Pennsylvania show, or that Great American show or whatever up in Pennsylvania. Then we've got Tulsa again. So should have a couple of fun months here. And again, thanks everybody who's following that. And again, anybody who shares it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, so then, unless you guys have anything else about last night, I guess we can dig into the show, CCW. In regards to, what is all of this?
That's a lot.
In regards to the two men who chased down and stopped the something or another guy. So this is about the people who responded to the Texas incident. Do you or do you not give chase and discharge your firearm? Is it situational? Does it depend on the surrounding area? Is there any actual way to train for an event, or are there legal liabilities one needs to consider before running into the fight rather than away from it? It seems like Dan will rub that in there. So, what do you think? Situational,
Well,
right?
Situational, yeah, but I do like, because there is some classes out there that do like the after it happens type of thing. You know, they go into like the legalities.
Consequences. Yep, the responsible consequences after a lethal force incident. Yep.
Yeah, so actually, I really like those, find those interesting. I know a lot of people find that stuff like boring or whatever, or people droning on, but I really enjoy that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's really good information for what you can and can't do.
Yeah, I think it's completely situational though as to what exactly you're going to do. Now I don't know if it's almost sound like he's asking if you would fire at them as they were fleeing in the vehicle and you're chasing them in a vehicle. I really don't think that's a great idea. It's hard enough to hit a target when you're sitting still, let alone bouncing along in a pickup truck or something.
I got to go get an old dog and then I'll respond.
All right. But no, yeah, I definitely agree with shooting from like while the car is moving. If someone's shooting at you and you have to defend yourself, that's a different story. But if you're giving chase, I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't be taking pot shots out of the window. Um, but I don't know. I mean, classes and training aside, I don't know, man. It is situational because he asked, does it depend on the surrounding area? Obviously, if
Yeah.
if it's really crowded.
Texas. I've spent way too much time in Texas. Seriously, I should be getting paid for the amount of time I had to spend in Texas. And then to suggest that if somebody does something horrible in front of you and then flees out towards a cornfield, you're going to go with, well, we shouldn't be shooting at people. Like, no, fire away, open fire. Right? So I think it depends on circumstances 100%. What if they're standing against a big ass brick wall doing horrible things?
Yeah.
The part is knowing when it's horrible things and not somebody filming a YouTube video about horrible things.
Right.
Yeah, if they're standing in front of the elementary school, probably don't shoot at them. Yeah,
I say specifically YouTube video because a big production TV thing, yeah, you're going to see the cameras. It's going to be obvious, but a lot of times a YouTube thing is just a handheld camera or two, or even a phone or something inconspicuous, and they may not be aware to let people know. They may not be thinking about, hey, from over our shoulder, somebody might think this is a horrible thing about to take place. They're just thinking about their YouTube video. So you could see something happening from a distance and perceive it as something horrible, and you just don't want to react immediately necessarily, because it could be, like I say, something that's just an amateur production of filming something.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's where it all comes down to situation and situational awareness and stuff. Really,
I stopped short of doing the whole like, oh, let's be cautionary and tell people to always think twice and always never think, it's always the last case. Because it's always the last case, obviously, to call that kind of action. But at the same time, you should be ready at the drop of a hat to, if needed, only because that's the kind of reaction speed necessary. If it is something horrible.
Yeah, good point.
And then it goes on here. Is there any way to actually train for such an event, or are there legal liabilities one needs to consider before running into a fight rather than away from it?
I think training would be pointless because it never happens. We're going to pick to one incident in all of history. It's dumb to train for something that never happens. It's a singularity.
Yeah, and just regular training. Once you get the knowledge, your holstering, unholstering, all that. It comes into the situational part after that, and the whole liability or the legal liability thing. What's that saying? I'm not super familiar with it, but there's a lawyer behind every bullet or something like that. Something along them lines.
Yeah, lawsuit with every bullet.
Yeah, so don't shoot unless it's a good shoot.
Yeah, we got some people out there talking about depend on applicable state law. If you're restricted to self-defense, it would be illegal to give chase. That's possible, but at the same time, I think if in a situation like that, I can't see any state prosecutor prosecuting you for chasing down somebody who just killed a bunch of people in a church.
I think you have a moral obligation to chase, and if that guy was violent, of course you'd bring something to defend yourself. And whether or not you take the opportunity, or there's a necessary need, or if there's a need to take the opportunity to take the shot, I think just following them is a service, right? It's just making sure that you aid the police in tracking down that guy, and if you can, running a video so that there's actual evidence that the guy leaving wherever you pick up on video, and then the whole pursuit, so that if there's any concern, they can use that in court or something. Ideally,
yeah, absolutely.
A valuable witness is, I would say, more of an obligation than shooting.
And just imagine how viral that could go.
Well, now with that though, right? Giving them chase, now taking shots on the highway, I would assume would probably get you into some trouble. Like if you're chasing him or something like that, and there's other vehicles around, wouldn't that be some sort of like endangering the public or something like that? I don't know.
Oh, certainly.
I'll take any amount of traffic infractions for being able to follow somebody so that the police can get somebody who's responsible for a mass murder.
Oh,
No,
and
I mean shooting while in pursuit. That's what I mean. Not just following them.
No,
Yeah.
I'm saying just following, but if you have to shoot him because he's shooting at you, I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's a different story.
He goes
That'd
into
be-
that tunnel in Phoenix, and it's him and you in that tunnel. And I'm glad you got a semi-auto because it's going to take a couple of shots to take down.
Yeah. Huh?
The worst you'll do is shoot a light out or something.
Yep. So I think we solved that one. You do what needs to be done, and the local state laws be damned. People's lives are worth more than any law.
All right. Well, I think with that, we'll move on to the next segment of the show then, which is going to be the gun stuff. Plus P plus. Are they really serious with this stuff? That sounds like the name of a song or something, or like some kind of a ditty.
Like a rhyme.
All right. So before we do, though, we like to feature one of the members over at Gun Channels between the first and second segment of the show each day. Today, we're featuring Patreons as well, or this last couple weeks going forward here, we're going to be featuring our Patreons as well, the people that we support over on Patreon. And today we got somebody who's both, right? So Clover Tech out of Texas, member over on Gun Channels, also has a Patreon account going, is using his Patreon account used productively. He's got 19 patrons over there, and he's got a couple of different levels. If you notice through the posts, click there, he'll post quite a bit over there, so he interacts with his patrons quite a bit. You can see that he's getting a lot of likes and a lot of responses to him, so using the Patreon platform as well. And that's sort of the reason we're promoting the people that we support over on Patreon, is I really think there's some potential to getting gun people over to the Patreon platform. It's a young enough platform that it's still developing. It's fairly established. It's fairly large. There's $10 million a month, $150 million a year going through Patreon. So there's definitely some financial incentive to use it. And it's got a better return. For example, if you send somebody who you enjoy their content, if you send them a super chat, for example, YouTube's going to take 17% of that dollar. So you give them $1, 17 cents goes to YouTube. If you give somebody $1 on Patreon, and 5 cents goes to Patreon. So significantly less, significantly more goes to the patron. When we're talking about crowdfunding, the concept of many people contributing just $1, that makes a big difference. If you get 100 people and you're saving 7 cents, you know, that's considerable. It adds up. So anyway, I think Patreon's worth using, and that's why we're featuring the people over there. Clover is a member of my Gun Channel, so it's dual plug today. And you can see that he's also doing the same kind of concept. So he's supporting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different channels over there. So I encourage you to check out people's Patreon pages. I definitely encourage you to take $20 or something a month. You know, something that you might spend on, you know, casually on something else. Take that $20 and divide it between 20 different gun channels over there, or whatever any kind of content you enjoy, and be part of the new media, the concept of audience and creator working together without many middlemen. And I think Patreon's a plain vanilla middleman that doesn't take a lot of percentage, doesn't take a lot of cut. They offer some features like the feedback and the comments and stuff like that make it useful and interesting. And again, thanks Clover for taking advantage of it over there and using it creatively, and being a good example for others to you know, start up something. He's already had a job, and he's not retired, but he's doing this as sort of a hobby slash part-time thing, and seeing how it develops and sharing his information. So again, we're featuring Clover today, specifically his Patreon over there. He's got 19 patrons. I definitely encourage you to give him some scratch. He's going to be heading over to SHOT Show. He did a great job over at the Big Gun Show, and I just tell you, I've seen a lot of people come and go over the years, And he's a real dude. He's not just looking for the fastest way to make $16 so that he can go spend it on, I don't know, whatever the hell else people spend their money on when they're just exploiting the community. So he's like the exact opposite of that. If you haven't already, I'm sure we're preaching to the choir with some people, but there's, I'm sure, a couple of people that might hear this that haven't checked out Clover stuff. Give him a shot.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely a lot of good info coming out of Clover. Oh, my bad, Bob. But yeah, definitely a lot of good info coming out of Clover's chats, and appreciate him being here.
Oh yeah, I like Clover. He's a funny little dude.
Yep. And a good addition to Gun Channels.
Oh shit, who let Nano in?
Oh yeah, Bob, it's me. I'm here just to spite you, in spite of you.
Were we right? Was that your topic for the CCW topic, Dano?
No, it wasn't. But it's a good topic nonetheless.
Do you have anything you wanted to add to that one?
As far as the plus B plus?
No, the other one, the pursuing a bad guy, potentially, but conditions or situations.
I didn't hear what you guys' responses was, so I don't want to necessarily repeat things that you may have already said. So
that's probably a good way, because we usually solve stuff, so really there's not much to add once we've covered something.
Yeah, it's usually done.
All right, well, so I guess we'll move into plus B plus.
Plus B plus, like do they make any plus B plus in this? Everybody knows what that sounds means. It's time to crack them knuckles, whip out them keyboards, and get ready for the daily tactical pop quiz. Today we have another one from Angry. Friday we're gonna have something special, so we're gonna do this one with Angry. So everybody get ready, and here we go. What was the first rifle using metallic cartridges adopted by the Swedish and Norwegian armies? What was the first rifle using metallic cartridges adopted by the Swedish and Norwegian armies?
Do 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 do. No, it's not 6mm. No, it's not Mauser.
Remington 1867.
Sean Connery.
No. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think that's Sean Connery.
Yep.
And right behind Ghost and then Clovertack. Way to go, you guys. You were close. Sean's got the faster fingers.
Yes, but y'all three came up clearly with the independent answer that was indeed correct. So y'all deserve some sort of credit.
Yeah, but Sean won.
Yeah, credit is
Sean's
not
the winner.
Credit is not the same as winning.
No.
Well, tell that to the guy that wins the silver and bronze medal in the Olympics, that they'd just rather throw it away.
Second and third?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ain't first, you're last.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I think I'd be very happy if I was the second strongest man in the world.
Yeah, but you got to think, though, there's always somebody out there stronger than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's got to find me first.
Always be number 2, Dano.
This world's a big place.
Sean Connery, you know what that makes you? That makes you the tactical pop quiz hot shot of the day.
And we're hoping that eventually Bob will get so hoarse he won't be able to speak ever again.
You just keep dreaming there, Dano.
Hey, we all got to have a dream.
All right.
Congratulations. And by the way, the answer is?
Remington 1867.
Yes, it is.
So I guess that'll take us into gun stuff, since I rudely interrupted G-Webs. Now,
that would be a rolling block, wouldn't it?
But I do have a serious question before you actually begin this, because it does relate to the next topic, is per SAMI specs, is there a definition of plus P? Is it a percent? Is it a percent of energy? Is it a percent of powder? Percent of weight? That
I don't think it's a mathematical ratio as much as just an indication that there's more powder, so therefore more pressure in that round. I don't think it says it has to be a percentage, though, like 10 or 15 or 20. It just says that there's more than the normal. It would be like saying nacho flavored, or it'd be like saying, here's my chips and then here's my barbecue chips. It's not like, there has to be 25% barbecue to be called barbecue chips.
Well,
it's just there's barbecue on there.
The reason I raised the question is, first of all, not everything is necessarily loaded to SAMI specs. Some things are intentionally loaded higher. If in order to put things in perspective, some people product X may say, I have a plus P product. Product Y may say, I have a plus P product. Yet you may get two very different performance levels out of those products, both claiming to be plus P in regards to the feet per second on an equally weighted projectile.
It could all be just a marketing scam.
Yeah, people want the hottest, fastest round that they can get,
Well, the reasons for the change or the nomenclature have nothing to do with the fact that there is nomenclature. So SAMI is the small arms something or another index or something.
Yeah.
So like the official coordinating set of numbers or whatever. So a 9mm does have a definition and a 38 has a definition and so forth. So it says that, at least on Wiki, it says that the specs for common plus P are as follows. So 9mm is a plus 10% increase. 38 special is a 9% increase. And this is in pressure. So if a 9mm normally has 35,000 pounds per square inch, I guess, of pressure, plus P will have 3850. That's a 10%. It's saying that the plus P plus is not currently used by SAMI, but by some manufacturers. And that's just, again, to indicate that they're higher than the plus P spec. And it'll differ. And they use an example that one brand is 18% over where normally it would be 10%. And then another brand on a different caliber is a 29% increase. So the increase at plus P is, I guess, a set percentage from SAMI. And then the plus P pluses are just an indication that they're going beyond even that additional price range.
Even staying within the same caliber, we'll say 9mm for the sake of discussion. A plus P plus from two different manufacturers, as you mentioned, one might be 18, the other one might be 20, and if there was a third one, that might be 16 or 15. Because all it means is that it's greater than 10.
Well, yeah, exactly. So they're going to say they're going to have, I guess, a requirement to say plus P, meaning that 10% increase. And then if they're going to do anything over, like you're saying, then they just call it plus P plus, and then it's buyer beware, whatever they get.
Now, the downside to pushing a bullet design that's not designed necessarily for those higher speeds, and this is something that you actually have to test by shooting it, is it may become destabilized in flight and may end up keyholing, and you will get a less effective round, depending on what it is you're trying to do.
I don't know.
By trying to overpressurize it.
If the bullet keyholes into somebody, it's probably not going to be a good wound.
Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. You're also going to get. It's not going to land where you want it to land. It's whether that goes to the left, goes up, goes down, go to the right. It's not going to land where you want it to land if it's keyholing in flight. You're thinking of where it's landing. And if it's landing true, it's not going to land true because it's keyholing in flight. And the silence of truth is deafening.
We just weren't sure you were done.
Take those really long pauses.
Usually Bob is like in there the nanosecond I start to slow down.
Yeah.
Not true.
I don't know. I've always heard plus P plus or plus P. There's some guns that are out there rated for plus P, but I've shot them before, but it's not something that I buy regularly.
Yeah.
I always heard them tear up guns, so I've never used it.
My only cautionary note is make sure you test them at paper at the distance you intend to potentially use them to verify the performance as well as the potential of it to keyhole. And that just simply means not follow a true center path of flight.
Okay, so if we're done with the keyholing, let's see.
So our member of the day is saying that if you think you need a plus P or plus P plus, then just get a bigger caliber. And I think that's why plus P and plus P plus exist, is that you don't always get that option. So if you're in a competition, or if you're in a hunting with a set of regulations, or if you're in a occupation where they require you to carry a certain, characteristic, I don't know if it's this caliber or the model of gun. I think it's people that are trying to peak or tweak performance out of the thing that they're required to deal with. At least that's what I suspect. That's where the plus P's came. Like in a competitive situation, you're trying to run the best you possibly can while still being technically called a 9mm or whatever. Of course, 9mm shooters, they're constantly trying to get more pressure out of that little anemic round. So they're going to be putting plus on there if they can.
And you also, as an example, looking at 45, you don't get the velocity out of a 45 that you get out of a 9mm, if velocity is what you're looking for. So going bigger doesn't mean faster.
Well, it can.
Means better. But then you also have, with the smaller projectiles, right? Then they need, is that a thing? Is that an aspect of all this, when you get those really small, lightweight projectiles, that you need to start making them plus P because you got to move them?
Yeah, well, that's why the 223 is so fast, because it's such a tiny little bullet. It has to go really fast, so it actually does something.
Pretty much plus P and everything is pistols, right? There's not rifle ammo plus P.
It's also a factor of its load. I mean, because there are rifle loads that are as fast or faster than the 223. It just, they're not typically used for various reasons.
And then they start out the Wikipedia with the difference between a plus P and a Magnum. And I think that's kind of addressed that question too, that, if you're going to get a bigger caliber, then that's usually a bigger gun. So they're trying to get, with the plus Ps and stuff, they're trying to just keep the gun size small. And there's also we have the advantage of new materials and manufacturing processes and experience, over the years. So companies can make the machines stronger than they ever were, or at least rate them for way higher than, the old fashioned, like, oh, let's be cautious. Let's make sure that we've got over engineered here. Let's make sure this gun can definitely handle it so that it lasts forever. Sometimes you don't need a gun to last forever. So if you can, run it hard and it's not going to last forever, then run it as hard as you safely can.
I think you touched on an important point. As an example, 9mm and 45 ACP have been around for 100 years plus. Yet the advancements in general technology, the advancements in the understanding of bullets in flight, the advancements in powders, all the general advancements together have made both of those rounds significantly more effective than they used to be 100 years ago. So I would want my performance to reflect current conditions rather than reflect the performance that they shot for 100 years ago.
I agree with Dan. 9mm is over. Come on, let it retire already. Oldest round ever.
Let's get rid of it.
Yeah, that and the 22 short.
No, and most.
Well, out of curiosity, I'm wondering which is older, the Luger or the 45 ACP?
The Luger.
I think the Luger.
I mean, they're both over 100 years old.
That's like saying which is older, Evil or Freedom. Freedom was around longer, and then Freedom had to happen.
Keep stretching, G-Webs.
It was invented by Nazis, so I'm just saying.
Actually, there were no Nazis prior to World War I. There were no Nazis in World War I.
Yet designed in 1901. Let's see when the 45 was invented.
I mean, the whole Nazi thing wasn't until the 20s and 30s. So long after it was designed and put into service.
The Nazi 9mm is 4 years older than the Freedom 45 ACP, which was invented in 1905. A much better year. He waited for a better year than 1901, which was a dumb year.
So in practicality, they're really, brothers age-wise.
Not so much brothers, but enemies across the ocean and the political spectrum. Good and evil.
Like Cain and Abel brothers.
Yeah. Well, really, I mean, the 9mm, wasn't it just an outgrowth of the 25 ACP as far as case design goes?
They're like, how can we kill more innocents? And they're like, oh, add more bullets.
And for those listening at home, yes, G-Webs, he has an issue. We've talked to him about it off air, but he just can't control himself. So that's why he is the way he is.
And Dano, we're not sure why he is the way he is.
Rabidly freedom. Shall not be infringed.
Cut that out.
Where did my strike come from?
I'm stealing that. All right. So,
Also known as 2 strikes, you're out. Where is he?
I think we solved it though. Plus P plus, are they serious with this stuff? Yeah, dead serious, because like Dano was saying, these are old cartridges. They weren't as bad as like the 357, well, not 357, the 38 and the 45 Colt and stuff, were made pre-smokeless powder. So they're huge in there. But these are cartridges that were developed a long time ago for lots of different reasons, and over the years have kept around, and the guns that run them are super over-engineered. So there's plenty of tolerance in there. And they figured out that they can tweak with new materials and new chemicals and whatever. They can tweak the performance up. And since there are specifications that define, especially on something as important as reloading, right? I mean, that's super critical that everything's precise. Since everything's documented, it's just it's a nomenclature to indicate that you're putting high pressure into the rounds, and then potentially even more than overpressure, like not dangerous, but beyond overpressure. And I think that's just a testament to engineering, and that's why these rounds are still around. That's why there is still a 9mm, because it can adapt, and the guns can stay the same size physically, but handle a better and better round all the time.
But why is the 45 ACP still around?
Same reasons. It's awesome.
Because they haven't really, I don't know, they haven't really changed it.
No. It's like if you have a group of friends, you always have that one fat guy. You like him, but he's always around, quite literally around. So there's always going to be a 45 ACP somewhere.
Now you're fat shaming Dano. I don't know. Where are you coming from, dude?
We've been having a bunch of comedians on gun channels this morning. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, well, no, back to the thing though, kind of. I mean, most guns are plus P rated. Most modern guns, anyway, are plus P rated. So I mean, it's not like you have really anything to worry about.
Defensive rounds, yes.
Yeah.
Range rounds are typically not.
No. I'm saying the guns are plus P rated.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that if you look at guns like airplanes, right? Things that were designed before computers are always going to be better and stronger, because they had to build in that we're not sure. It's why they're still flying B-52s that were built in the 60s. Think about that. And they're going to fly those until 2040. So we're talking almost 100 years they're going to fly a combat airplane, because it was built with a slide rule. It was built so strong and so tough, they just don't wear out, much like anything designed by Browning.
Yep, built with insight to longevity, so that the parts that would wear were built up, and the sacrificial parts were made sacrificial so they could be replaced.
Kind of like the SR-71.
Well,
Let's see.
the SR-71 was still viable. It just was
If it wasn't for all the environmental garbage, we'd still be flying it probably.
That's
I'd like to recognize Philo out there in the comments. 45 ACP is still around because nobody's come up with anything better.
Did you say CeeLo Green?
Philo.
Well, I mean, but if you think about it, I mean, between like we have the Casole round, we have the Smith & Wesson 500, we have the 50 AE. They may not all have necessarily gotten a lot of traction or a lot of support, but there are other rounds that have become almost mainstream. At least mainstream enough that companies are willing to manufacture guns for them, and the change of product line over to a new caliber is not an inexpensive proposition. So they have to have some realistic confidence that they're going to sell these guns to make them in these new calibers. And I think Jimmy has an example of one.
What? Oh, 454? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, a little bit.
A little.
But still, though, man, 45, I got a couple of 185 grain plus P45s, and them things blow up melons like nobody's business. And then 9mm just like slides through it.
Yeah, well, that only makes sense, right? 9mm a politer round, so it makes a smaller entry and exit, so that it doesn't mess things up as bad.
None of that hydrostatic stuff.
Yeah.
Because we all know we don't need capacity. That's why we all carry 6 shooters, right?
Well, that's not necessarily true too, because we're talking about advancements. I mean, we're going over, so we should probably switch topics. But I mean, with advancements, you can get a 15-round 45. No.
Double stack, and boy, has that taken off. There, everybody's making one these days.
Hey, nonetheless, though, not everybody can handle the power.
Well, that's a different issue altogether.
Some people have very delicate hands, and they get very upset when they see larger hands.
So, according to Jimmy, we now have his and her guns.
All right, I think we solved this one. Consensus.
We can stop arguing.
I think we should keep talking about it. All right, so then we'll move on to training, or do we want to do something else?
Oh, not while I'm here.
Well, while we're in the break though, between them, shouldn't we mention that Patreon and how they can support gun channels by buying things from the gun websites store?
Sure. So I'm going to move training down because Dano just did a training thing, and we're going to put him on the spot and talk about his training video. He's down.
Oh yeah, I'm down for the. In fact, I can. If someone, I can try to pull it up, and we want to play it if you want.
Online.
It's 5.5 minutes long, so it's probably too long.
Oh, it's only 5.5 minutes?
Yeah.
What's up to you guys? Why don't we bring that up anyway? And then, yeah, Bob had a good point there. We do have a Patreon for the show. I got a bunch of boxes finally. I found out from a couple of people online that the post office, the U.S. Post Office, has these, what do you call them, fixed rate boxes. And you can get a few sizes in the if you go to the post office. But if you go on their internet site on the line, you can find out a whole bunch of boxes that they have in different sizes and dimensions. So we found some different ones and we got them in, which will allow us to send stuff relatively inexpensively. So the money we use to send stuff comes from the Patreon. So appreciate everybody who's supporting us there, because that's going to allow us to send some of these freebies out. And getting stuff for free is great, but just because you get it for free doesn't, help with the $6 each package going out or $5 each package going out. And that's where the Patreon comes in. So thanks everybody who's supporting that. Hopefully, as we go forward here, people start seeing the fabulous prizes that are being dished out. More people will jump in on that, and it'll just get bigger and bigger. What do you guys think? Should we just play Dano's whole video? I'm down for that.
Sure, why not? Yeah, we got time.
All right, I'm gonna kind of push my mic over by the speaker so you guys can hear it. Let me know if it becomes aggravating. I'll just stop doing that.
Never worked.
It's tactical response in 2017, and these were viewer questions that were sent in on a form to me. So if there's some obvious questions that weren't answered, it's because nobody sent them in. It's tactical response in 2017. This is based off of my 4 different experiences that I've had this year down in Camden. So let's go ahead and go to some of the questions that have been submitted by mine. Here is, what is the team room like, and does it smell? It's kind of a funny question, but a very good question. First of all, the team room is kept in excellent condition. I was really positively surprised about the environment there. There was no smell. It's heated in the wintertime, air conditioned in the summertime. It's a really nice place to stay. There's room for approximately 12. There is if you have the ability to put a donation to keep things rolling for free, they certainly appreciate that. There's kind of like a little fishbowl there to help keep that going. But if you can't, you can't, and only you know ultimately whether you can make that donation or not. But it's very clean, very well kept. The one thing you do need to be aware of is, at least currently, in this year of 2017, only one of the restrooms is fully functional. So you have 1 shower and 1 toilet and 1 sink for a maximum of 12 people, because that's how many bunks there are, 12. So if you're interested in staying in the tea room, you need to call Maryland and make sure you reserve it ahead of time. Don't wait till the last week, because it may all be taken. So let's get to the next question. I've got chronic Lyme. Can you get something out of the class if you can only do 4 or 5 hours a day? First of all, let me share with you a little bit of my experience in that regards. is I suffer from chronic pain in my lower back, and I'm not necessarily able to do all the things in all of the classes. But they're really understanding and able to work with your limitations so that you can gain the most that you possibly can out of the class that you're taking. That's something that I would definitely suggest if you do have a health issue or concern, that you contact Tactical Response about that, because in some classes it may be of little to no issues, and in other classes it may be a real issue. You need to talk to Tactical Response, tell them what's going on with yourself, and get that answer, because the answer for someone else is different than the answer for you. So let's go to the next one. How tall is James Yeager? It's hard to say that's even a serious question, but he's of average height. He's not exceptionally tall. He's not exceptionally short. He's of average height. Really not much more to say there. So next question, are all tactical or just regular guys? In my opinion, they were serious students, just regular guys, but very serious about learning how to fight with whether it be a rifle or a pistol or some other aspect of that. I, in particular, didn't see any of that tactical. And what I define as tactical is things you might have that you actually either don't ever use, don't know how to use, or have no plan in learning how to use. They just happen to be attached to either you, your rifle, or your pistol. So it was just regular guys that were serious about their training, but certainly, especially back in the team room and when you're not necessarily on the firing line, a good group of guys and gals in all of my classes that I've taken that are also willing to, be lighthearted and joke around things as well as be serious. And, when back at the team room, it's a much more lighter atmosphere in there. And it was always, pretty much a good group of people, both men and women. So hopefully that answers the question. Next question. I'm considering taking fighting pistol. What should I expect as far as what I get out of the class? In my experience, and simply in my opinion, mindset, tactics, skills, and gear in that order. By far the biggest thing is the mindset that you will be exposed to. It's up to you as to whether you decide to incorporate that into your current mindset or not. Hopefully you've gone to this class with an open mind, because you're paying a lot for all these classes. So why would you waste that money by not going in with an open mind? And then, of course, followed by tactics, which unless you've had classes before, this will be brand new for you. The fighting pistol class is designed for somebody starting from ground zero. But if you already have some experience, it's still by far an excellent class to take. You will not regret taking it. That I can guarantee. So that's Tactical Response for 2017. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any further questions. And that was the video. So awesome. There's just a little tag there on the end.
That was very good. How many questions was that?
It was just 5. There were, some crank questions that, I didn't read. And I only wanted to answer the questions that were submitted to the best of my ability. I didn't want to interject, okay, here's the history of the place or anything like that. So if somebody did have a specific question, I did ask them to put it down below in the video. And I know Hori was one of them. He had an additional question that I answered down below. So if anyone else has a question on Tactical Response, just go to Just Dano over on YouTube and put their comment down below, and I will do my best to answer your question, whether it be on a class that I've taken or just on the place in general.
I want to thank you for that, because when you started doing the project or whatever, the way you and DB and people were kidding around, I kind of figured you're going to do like a hit piece because you were dissatisfied with it. But I think that was super on it, like middle of the road and honest answer. So if somebody's really seriously debating spending that kind of scratch, this is a resource that'll really help them out with some, what do you say, like non-biased info. I appreciate it.
That was a good video, Dano. You even shaved for it, so good job.
Yeah, very good.
All right, so sounds like throw the link in to there, and we'll got the hiccups now. So send a link in there, and then people can leave comments with more questions if they got them right. You'll do another follow-up video if you get a bunch of interesting questions. Just assume he will. All right. Well, so what do we want to go into next?
You guys want to just whiz through the movie real quick?
Yeah, fast. What is it?
Terminator.
Oh man.
I'm assuming the first one.
Of course. One of the best movies ever made. We got to whip through it. Great.
Oh, we've done it before. It's 2 thumbs up. It's a good movie.
Yeah, this is one of the gold standard movies. Rambo, Terminator, Red Dawn, all happened in '84, I think. And if you haven't seen them all, you're wrong. And you're not. I don't know how you can even live. Like, how do you even know like any jokes or whatever anybody's talking about ever? You need to see these movies. Terminator is one of them. I mean, that's everything. That was one of the best movies ever. That's Skynet, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
That's where it started, all right.
Yeah, definitely giving that one a 2 thumbs up. Must see.
I'm going to go ahead and let Skynet hack into that one and give it 4 thumbs up somehow.
Well, actually, I don't think Skynet would like that movie, technically, because it kind of outed him. So now we all know about Skynet, and we're expecting it at any moment.
Skynet let know just as much as it wanted to let know so that we would react in the way it anticipated, and it's still gaming us. It's playing chess, not checkers.
No, it's not. It's not. No. It's Skynet's not that bright, actually. It's mostly made up of iPods. So.
All right, well, I don't know what to say. It's one of the awesomest movies. It still holds up. Me and Smeggy went to the Terminator gun shop, like the gun shop that he walks into and gets the Uzi 9mm and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
I've been in that store. I've been in that building. When we went in there, we actually, let's make that our gun shop of the day. So, did I do a video on it already? I don't know. I'll take a look on the YouTubes. So we went in there and we were driving around looking at the Ring of Fire factories and that are all around Los Angeles. And I knew that was in Los Angeles and I wanted to check it out. And when I went to Google Maps, oops, I have to spell it right, I guess. When you go to Google Maps and type it in, it says, or at least at the time, it said that it was abandoned, that it was just fence around it. And that didn't stop me. I wanted to still see it no matter what. So we were driving around. One of the Ring of Fire factories is way north of it. So on the way back, we come past it, and I expected to just kind of come past it and keep watching or keep driving to other factories because it is sort of downtown. I guess, LA is huge. It does have a city center and then, sprawling suburbs, but some of those suburbs are massive, bigger than cities, right? So I don't know really where downtown LA is because I'm not familiar enough yet, but it's certainly in one of those places where there's no parking and the houses are all right next to each other and people live on top of stores and there's, it's really crowded and people walk everywhere. And well, you've seen it, I guess. Everybody's seen the movie. But anyway, we drive up and I fully expected to just have a bunch of fence. So we were just going to get a photo op, but it was a used car dealership or something. So we were able to stop and I got a bunch of pictures of the dog in front of the place and the old man in front of the place. And then I decided, shit, if I'm already here, I might as well walk in. Plus, they were looking at me funny, taking so many pictures of the front of their used car shop, right? And I walked in there and asked them if it was okay to take a picture of the inside of the building, which just is a big empty building right now. And he said, sure. And he asked me why. I told him, and they didn't know. So he went and told his boss, like, hey, this is the Terminator gun shop. And I think that's a service, right? That's a service to the community, literally, because now they can go get a screen capture of the movie and put it up in there. And then the next people who lease it might actually realize that it's the Terminator gun shop, and then they might decide not to knock down a big wall or something or rip down the sign out front, right? Because that's the other thing is it still has its unique sign out front that said guns or whatever. So anyway, really cool shop. It's now a used car lot. Who knows what it'll be next? Right down the middle of LA. It's kind of hard to get to. It's not really far from the surplus store that he walks into from the movie Falling Down. When he walks into the surplus store and goes into the back room.
Yeah.
Right? That's not too far away. They're both in LA, kind of close to each other. So that's the gun shop from Terminator. We started doing this show 444 episodes ago so that we could talk about a gun shop every day. And we checked out so far 66 new gun shops this year alone. We'll continue to keep doing that while we can. And looks like Dano is jumping into something over there.
I'm just doing a slideshow of the Chicago Palm Pistol.
Is that our gun of the day? It's not even our gun of the day.
No, but you got me all excited about it last night, so I started downloading pictures that I could find and things like that, information, see if there were any other companies that made them.
Oh, right on.
And
Did I,
short answer, for anybody curious, there were 2 companies that made them, one in France and one in Chicago. So there were over 12,000 made in the U.S., not sure how many made in France.
do they actually make those in a 9mm for you, Daniel?
No, Mr. Wiener. They were made in 32 short.
Nope, 32 extra short.
Extra stubby.
Oh, so that would be pretty much like a 9mm then.
Yeah, they took a
But
30.
they were also made
shortened it.
in another caliber. The French ones were, which is alluding. It's a
9mm
say
tool.
6mm, but it was relatively small.
I like how he just jammed a whole extra gun of the day right in there.
Yeah, I know. It was a goofy gun too.
But, this is a gun show. We're based out of this thing called Gun Channels, so I figured throwing in a gun in there would be appropriate.
Yeah,
It's hardly a gun though. It's more like a cap pistol. Let's talk about the real gun of the day. The 444 Marlin lever action.
And now we're digging into some meat and potatoes.
Now we're talking a man's gun, right?
44. That's like 0.004 more than a 45 ACP. Does anybody need that kind of diameter?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, these wonderful, wonderful gun. Yeah, you could literally go to Africa and drop pretty much anything with it. Mind you, you can pretty much drop anything with a 303. So, but yeah, these are great. I've shot one of these quite a few times, and they're fun. They're stupid expensive to shoot because of those rounds, but I mean they are just. It's a gun.
Are those center fire
Yes.
nowadays? Can't you get center fire brass and
It's a
reload
modern gun.
Yeah. It's not an
So
old
why
book.
is it as long as you buy the brass, why is it expensive?
Well, because the
Well,
brass
a lot of metal. A lot of
Yeah.
metal. A lot of powder.
like 4570, basically.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but that 70 was the black powder load, not the
Yeah,
modern
but
day load.
it's the modern equivalent to it. Like, look at this thing. It's bigger than a 4570.
Yeah, but it's not loaded to the top with powder.
Oh, for God's sakes, Dano. It's a super powerful, great game getter. And it's a lever action. So that makes it even better.
I'm not saying it's not a great round.
Well, it sure sounds like it. Mr. Negative Nancy.
What's that aluminum thing on your head? Do you have Vaseline on your camera lens or what?
No, that's probably a thumbprint.
You're all like out of focus.
Yeah, so.
Looks like you're wearing a wig.
He's wearing one of them Russian hats.
Yeah.
The hat of his homeland.
Yeah.
That's Vidania.
So you can see their air bases from your backyard then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, that's our gun of the day.
On bombing runs for him, so he can wave them in.
Yeah, I'm just right across from the Minuteman bases, so I can
But,
just.
the gun of the day was made in many calibers, as we discussed last night. So the 4570 is just simply one of many.
444. So we're doing 444 because today is episode 444.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting to see what do people think just from the gun channel side, because we really don't care about the opinions of the YouTube side. They can't be bothered to even log into gun channels and tell us. But on the gun channel side, which wins? The Chicago gun in 32 extra short or the 4440 or 444 lever gun? The consensus of the first three. we'll win it, I guess.
The element of surprise.
44. Oh, stupid lever action win it.
The element of surprise wins. In fact, I have history on my side. Let's see. There was Mr. Lincoln. Element
What?
of surprise. There was Mr. Kennedy.
What?
Element of surprise.
What are we talking
There
about?
was Mr. Reagan. Element of surprise. I mean, do I need to keep going?
Wait, so they all carried the Chicago firearm?
Being assassinated.
What's happening?
I don't know. Dano's gone way off the rails again.
I'll do what I need to do to defend my gun.
Well, it looks like the 444 lever won, hands down, 3 out of 3.
Yeah.
And I absolutely admit that the palm pistol is a one-trick pony, but much like big dot sights. But what it does well, but that's all it does.
I want to win. I think they're cool. I think they should have them, and the little lady should be able to walk around with one of them in her hand if she wants to.
Oh yeah, with like a 22 short or whatever would work best.
And then basically, she can use 32 short. So, but you push that one lever over, and then when you put that in your fist and punch somebody, the act of your fist closing would pull that trigger on the back, or is that back thing a safety, and then you push the barrel into somebody and that triggers it?
No,
I do not know. I would like to find out.
I don't think you have to push the barrel in. I think you can just shoot it without, because otherwise it'd be pointless. You'd have to push the barrel in. Right? So
even with that,
plus the barrel doesn't move. So yeah, it's obvious that it's the. We'll push that.
Squeeze it.
Put that picture back up of the internal so we can figure out how it works.
Yeah, you want to be just out of contact range so you can't be knifed.
The other picture, I guess. This is just the magazine spring. There's that one that shows you what the lever does when you push it. So you can see the tension spring that pushes the lever out is already there. It's exposed. So as you push it in, those two arms are doing something if Dan will ever get back to that one picture.
This is set. You tell me when you see the picture and I'll stop it.
Yeah, go the other way or something, because it was the one where you could see what the levers were doing. Not this one, which you can't see nothing. After they take that disc out, I guess.
I don't like tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
None of these. The one with the levers on the inside. Come on.
You just squeeze.
I'm letting it spin around.
Oh, I thought you can't push the arrows and make it happen?
There are no arrows when it does this display mode.
There we go. That one. That last one.
Oh, geez, now he's going to have to let it go run again. Oh, my God.
Can you use the arrows? The arrows on
like trying to explain a VCR to an old person.
I'll tell you what. Just disregard what I'm doing right now. I'll pull it up separately.
Anyhow, so I think those things would be neat. I'd want one. Anyway, so then we did a gun shop. We did a movie. We did caliber, kind of. We did all of our topics.
Yep.
Is there any gun history today?
No.
I didn't see any. Oh, yeah, over there.
I don't think so.
Okay, this picture here.
Yeah. So it looks like the top one is pushing the thing around, and the bottom one potentially. Right. Or no, that thing is the hammer.
I thought that this back piece was to cock it, and then that right there is the trigger.
So then that thing comes along and pushes that hammer back, and then that trigger comes along and flips it, and then drops that hammer down, I guess.
Right, and these two tangs, the one on the bottom and the one on the top, are just to give you a better grip.
Right, that's
so
what
you have the back strap and then the two tangs to give you a 3-point hold.
Yeah, you squeeze it to cock it, and then you pull that little trigger.
Yep.
And you don't have to have it squeezed in order to shoot it. It's not like a grip safety, in other words.
Well, I think you got to have it squeezed in order to cock it, and I think
it has to be cocked.
Yeah, and I think if you released it, well, I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not double action, I don't think.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I fired one, so.
So you got to go through all that to take it apart, and then put 132 short, super short in there, and
it takes 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9.
Okay. Yeah. in my reading, it was 10, but there may have been small versions that took less. But yeah, it was a because if you look at that disc, it's basically using revolver technology.
Oh, I see. Okay, like a cylinder kind of.
Yep.
Very interesting.
All right. So we got no history.
What? No, you said that, but not the rest of us. So we do have history. Gun Channels was 4 years old yesterday. Do we even talk about that?
Yeah,
Nope.
we brought it up a couple times yesterday, but not today.
Just mentioning it.
And
We were
then
waiting for the contest prizes extravaganza that you were going to do today.
how about everybody can take part in some of the bills I got to pay for it because it's a 1-year anniversary, or it's the yearly anniversary for bills. So looks like today there's some things happened. In 1902, a cartoon appeared in the Washington Star that created teddy bear. Does anybody know what that was?
In what year?
For Teddy Roosevelt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Roosevelt refused to kill that bear that somebody tied up to a tree, and then that created the teddy bear. Because that
it
would
wasn't sporting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he didn't like the idea of somebody just capturing a bear and tying it to a tree for him to shoot. And and then it would be like somebody like Trump tweeting something, and then it turned into a thing like the teddy bear.
It's like trying to be victorious over the steak that you bought over the store. It's like, no, somebody else did that for you. You just bought it.
Looks like today in 1907, Indian and Oklahoma territories were unified to make Oklahoma, which we spent a bunch of time in. So 46th state.
So it was mostly
One more strike against Indians.
What?
One more stab in the back for the Indians.
stolen land.
They still have sovereign nations there. So
Oh yeah, but their sovereign nations used to be much larger.
I don't know about that. All they did is create them together to make Oklahoma. I mean, they would have screwed them out of their space earlier than this.
Yeah.
1920, metered mail is born in Connecticut in the first postage meter. So that brings me up to, I had to drive all the way around town today because I had to go pick up a letter for $1.80. $1.80. It is a deck of cards that I sent to somebody in Texas, the Kalashnikov cards. I had to send them separately, and I put the postage on them, and they got all the way there. They didn't like the address, so they sent it back to me. They put a sticker over the address, so I don't even know who they went to. I just know that they were returned. Cost me $1.10 to get them there, and now they charge me $1.80 to get them back. There's nothing I could do. I had to pay them $1.80. So instead of just returning it, can't find the address. Here it is. Thanks for your $1.10. They're like, thanks for your $1.10, and here's $1.80 for us to return it to you. And you have to drive down to the post office and wait in line to pay that $1.80. So post office screwing people.
Let me ask you a question. I know you have a post office box for your business. Do you not have a curb service in where you live?
I guess it doesn't matter because the way they do business is you cater to their convenience. It doesn't matter what their circumstances are.
Okay.
Yeah, we still get our.
Just had to go pay $1.80 to get back something that when you spend every other time in my life I've spent something, they return it, and I already spent money on it. There's nobody there. I'm like, you didn't pay us enough, so here, pay us even more to return it. So now that deck of cards it's worth about $10 now.
You remind me in one way of another Gun Channels member who has a thing about UPS. And he does, because he's had some incidences, that is, Flippy has, with UPS.
You call me Flippy? I think he just called me Flippy.
No, I said you have something in common.
Where's my stickers, Flippy? Where's my stickers, Flippy? I thought that's what they were. I'm like, Flippy sent me my stickers, and I got to pay $1.80 on them. I go down there, and it's my own cards coming back to me to an unknown address that I have to go figure out now for $1.80.
So you spent your time, your gas,
and my
and then your money.
Yeah. Just so I could almost be late to the show today.
And you wonder why I get so pissed off when they won't give me a half-inch piece of little tape that's sitting on a roll 2 feet that I could reach in and grab the tape.
Oh no, they do that for this explicit reason to lord their little bit of power over the rest of the world. That's how they get their rocks off. Because with the same hand, with the other one hand, they're shaking it at you like, "How dare you ask me for tape?" They're touching themselves with that other hand. They're doing inappropriate things down there.
And for those relatively new listeners, yes, there's a story that I told once upon a time on the Daily Gun Show when Z and Bob, I don't know if you were here that day or not, but I know I've retold it more than once in regards to the post office and the tape story.
Yeah, we've all heard it. It's actually out in gun channels. It's like called Tape Gate.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's end it on a positive note. Today, 1982, the Space Shuttle Columbia completed its first operational flight. So that's when we started the, what do you call that? The like ability to shuttle stuff up into space.
Yep, and that's what allowed us to build the space station, the International Space Station. Let's remember that.
Too bad it didn't continue on and become just the first in many. Too bad our priorities left space and went back to farting around with garbage that we should have passed a long time ago, dealing with each other here in the country.
What amazes me is technologically now we totally rely 100% on the Russians to get people to and from.
So is it not the appropriate time to bring up the concept that if a bunch of communists came over here after they saw they were losing the Cold War and influenced our schools to the point where we didn't emphasize science and moving towards space, but instead emphasize garbage and shitting around and wasting time worrying about who's fair to each other and who's being mean to each other and how we should deal with that. And we totally lost any sort of appreciation or, there's no admiration for anybody who goes into the sciences. And now, like you say, the result of all that is we didn't continue with the space shuttle being the first step of many to get us up to space and then Mars and then out of the solar system and worrying about galactic issues and not stupid, petty nation state issues. But instead, we're depending on the stupid Russians who are using shitty Cold War garbage to take our people up there.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, they're using 1970s technology to keep the International Space Station manned.
We've got telephones in our pocket that would make the guy who wrote Star Trek crap himself, yet we got spaceships that are basically old 1960s pickup trucks.
Well, they do have SpaceX. They've actually got some cap ready to go and stuff. So, I mean, and that is American, at least. And that's, commercial. It's not government run.
It's not American. It's private enterprise.
But it's private, at least. So, yeah. These are
American that owns it. So
any Brit bends a knee, and I don't like guys bending a knee or tapping toes.
No toe tapping. So anyway,
whatever.
That's the positive note that our Space Shuttle Columbia went up for the first time in 1982.
That's an excellent point. So let's wrap this up with our quote and call. Oh, wait, we got to do what's on tonight, though.
Tonight we got Outlaw Hatfield coming on at 8. And then I think this is Yankees solo chat, or is this the one that you're in, G?
I don't know.
That's 10 tonight, so check out Yankee. And then we got After Hours, hosted by Clover Tack at 11 Eastern.
That's the one I look forward to on Thursdays. That one usually turns into some good stuff. And we all went to Tulsa, so I imagine we all got stuff to talk about there again. And, we didn't talk about that. We had a Tulsa chat last night. So if anybody was interested in some of the Tulsa stuff, everybody that's been to Tulsa jumped into a chat.
And speaking of Tulsa, I think now would be a great time, rather than any time later, to begin a collective Tulsa or Bust Spring of 2018 GC House Fund GoFundMe thing.
Well, that's an idea. Start it now. Let's get it topped up so that we can get a decent house.
SHOT Show happens 2 months before Tulsa, though.
Well, right, but they're different goals for different things. SHOT Show is all about what's new. Wanamaker is about everything historical up to things that are current production.
We'll talk about that.
Oh, and real quick before we wrap up, my bad too. I forgot GNN will be coming on some point in time today.
Yeah, you better not forget them.
It's like the Grenade News Network. Because you never know when the damn thing's going to be on, so you can't watch it.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right, let's finish this. And I've got a quote that's just for Dano because it's by Winston Churchill. But before that, I want to thank everybody. And I want to remind you, please thumbs up, please share, put it on your Facebooks if you use the Facebooky thing, and like the videos. So let's see. Winston Churchill. I am fond of pigs. Dogs look up to us. Cats look down on us. Pigs treat us as equals. So quote from a very historically significant person who happens to be British. And on that note, thanks everybody for watching and listening, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.